online is really being led by the brands rather than the retailers. I agree that you support the retailers in whatever they're trying to do, but arguably they're simply not acting fast enough or as full enough as required based on the changing consumer trends. I mean, how do you cope with that in terms of helping drive their interest in furthering their online experience for their customers?
For sure, the Western world at the moment in travel retail is not going at the same pace as the Asian world when it comes to e-retail and e-commerce operations. But honestly, this topic has become a very strategic one for them at top management level and across the entire organization. But what you should not forget is that those 3 past years have been a total blast for the entire industry, with the international traffic totally down. Those retailers have been struggling big times in terms of business, cutting down many people within their organization, closing stores, and the business is just restarting. And for the moment, they are just restarting their retail operation, reopening the stores, rehiring staff, and it is a priority which is totally normal. So the digital transformation is at their agenda, but it's going to come in a second step, because first, to make it big, you need to invest in digital capabilities. You need to have e-commerce websites that offer technologies being able to deliver a consumer experience which is at the level of what the consumer expects. And this means investments. And in this time, which is a kind of reopening of the world, they are restarting their operation, but I have no doubt that they are going to invest big time in the coming years to make it big.
That was a very sympathetic response.
No, but I clearly, I'm convinced of that.
I think you're right. I mean, I think the survival came first.
Exactly.
And that
exactly.
Basically what they're now doing is playing catch up. And there will be a clear and significant drive, I believe, and in 2024 to get up to speed. Now, clothing, as we know, is the leading category in e-commerce, thanks largely to zero cost returns and full refund schemes. Now, as I'm saying, something like the returns and refunds in clothing is something like approaching 40% in real terms. But for your products, once the package is opened, will you be accepting any returns at all in a similar manner? I mean, what's your policy here?
So first of all, us as a group and as brands, we are not operating directly e-commerce in the travel retail industry. Actually, our brands are sold online through e-retail websites that are operated by travel retail retailers. So us as brands, we are not in charge of the e-commerce commercial policy. It's 100% at the sole discretion of our retailers, including returns and payment. And in addition to that, which is really interesting, and it's a big difference between travel retail on one side and local market on the others, is that we have a very specific e-commerce business model in travel retail. Most of the business model is done through what we call click and collect. And click and collect is buying online and pick-upping at the airport what you've bought either pre-trip or during your trip.
Yes.
So meaning that the pickup is done at the airport, and then in that case, this return policy that you were describing is not really a challenge, not even a topic in our industry, based on the specific business model that we have in e-commerce.
Just developing this point, would you agree that for e-commerce, people tend to buy high-value ticket items, like luxury perfumes, only if they're tried, tested, and loved, of course? What incentives do you give to consumers to try new products in the same way as they would as if they were browsing in store?
So first of all, the first reason to buy online in travel retail, again, because I'm talking only about our channel, is convenience. This is the first purchasing driver on e-commerce in travel retail. And actually, whatever the category, whether it's fragrance, makeup, or skincare, which is interesting is that the mix of our sales online is not that different from the one we have in the point of sales. But of course, we have a duty to make sure that the experience that we deliver online is at the same level than what consumers are experiencing in a local market on websites like Tmall in Asia, like Sephora, or like our own L'Oréal D2C websites in local market. And to do that, we have very different tactics. The first of all being brand boutique to elevate the experience and the brand image that we deliver to consumer. It's about also enriching the content that is offered to our consumer online, about bringing sense of travel, sense of destination in the way we activate the consumer and our brands. And last but not least, we have been talking previously about beauty tech. And actually, we are also rollouting all those devices online on the e-commerce website of our travel retail partners, because those tools are the best way to engage the consumer, to help him or her to try virtually some makeup. We are rollouting also some fragrance finder tools on site to help and provide that recommendation that you won't have through a beauty advisors like in a point of sales. So we are really trying to enrich the experience, making sure that it's really best in class and really helping the consumer to make his or her purchase on the website.
Now, we know that sustainability lies at the very heart of your strategic vision. Yet there is one issue that I feel needs addressing when it comes to decentralized direct-to-homes commerce, and that, of course, is the energy burn on the logistics involved. I mean, how do you balance the books, as it were, and plan to address this rather thorny part of the equation?
So in fact, as I told you previously, we do not operate directly to our consumers. So we are not in charge of the logistic operation. And in addition to that, as our model, our main e-commerce model is click and collect, again, people buy online but get delivered at the airport. So the retailer does not have to handle that whole shipping process that you would have in e-commerce in local markets. So the model is really different. And indeed, that e-commerce model is not burning more energy online than offline, because the model is so specific that all this logistic part is not doesn't have to be handled. So in fact, it's not an issue. But in the meantime, as you've said, sustainability is absolutely at the heart of all what we are doing. And for that, we are taking concrete actions every day in close collaboration with our retail partners to make sure that all what we do is sustainable. So it's about making sure our formulas are more sustainable, our packs and travel exclusive are sustainable, our own transportation to our retailers' warehouses, our
the entire supply chain, basically.
Eco-design. So basically, it's really the entire value chain on which we are working every day to make it more and more sustainable. And we do that, of course, in close collaboration to our retail partners.
Now, Web 3.0 and your recent metaverse partnership are both highly innovative and arguably key to your future-proof digital strategy. When we look at the adoption of Web 2.0, for example, it still carries with it some baggage and lingering issues of digital effectiveness, data privacy, predatory marketing, subliminal messaging, and so on. I mean, how do you plan to make Web 3.0 a healthy and safe complement to your overall business?
Well, actually, as the #1 beauty leader across the world, I think we have a responsibility to design a very desirable, but also ethical and sustainable future in a safe and cyber-secure environment. And this is already what we are doing in Web 2.0. All what we do is clearly compliant with all those data privacy, legal, GDPR rules. And it's really important to us beyond all what we are doing and through all what we are doing on our brands. And for sure, we are going to continue that journey in the Web 3.0, building somehow also those standards in the metaverse, because at the moment they don't exist. And we will build them to make sure that all what we do is totally ethical, legal compliant, and safe and cyber secure. It's really important to us.
Okay.
But yeah, we believe it's a way to move forward. It's really critical to us.
Now, moving on, we've all been reading recently about the fact that just maybe the age of the influencer may be beginning to fade. Certainly that the proliferation of influencers is being dramatically reduced. It's out there at the moment. Do you actually subscribe to this view? And just how difficult is it for you as a brand to vet your influencers?
So I don't believe at all that the age of influencers is going to fade away in the coming years. I just think that at the moment we see a very interesting evolution, or I would even say a revolution, of what used to be the historical influencing marketing model that we used to have. Actually, which is really interesting is to see the evolution of the social platform.
Yes.
At the moment, we see new platforms rising up. Gaming platforms, really community-based platforms. We see the rise of social commerce, and I think it's totally changing the way social marketing and social influence used to be. In fact, which is really interesting is that influencers are becoming more and more experts. So I don't think they are going to fade in the coming years. I just think that their métier is changing tremendously to adapt to the new environment. And probably it's already the case, it's already happening, and we are coping us with this new reality on a daily basis. And I think it will probably change even more in the coming years.
So what criteria do L'Oréal use to vet your influencers?
There is not a one specific criteria. And actually, we have been working with some influencers for years and years, and still plan to work with them in the coming years. So for sure, we have new influencers coming up and entering the world of influencers. But we have been loyalizing many of our influencers by developing a very trustful and cooperative relationship with them.
So just coming back to it, I mean, what criteria do you adopt when to vet, which may be a hard word, the influencers that actually work for L'Oréal?
For sure, we make sure that the influencers who are working with us on our brands share our values. It's really important to us. We make sure in terms of ethics, they respect and value, again, the values that we want to convey. So this is really important to us.
One final question, Sophie. Where do you actually see the world in the next 5 years? I mean, how would you define L'Oréal's digital vision?
So I think we are living in a very fascinating era with big shifts happening at the moment. And I think the world is shifting from digitalization to virtualization, and from what we used to call O+O to O+O+O, which is online, offline, and on-chain. And I think we are still at the very early stage of the Web 3.0, but I believe that the world of tomorrow will be definitely physical, digital, and virtual. And I don't think that consumers will have to choose between one reality or another. They will just all combine them to experiment tomorrow our brands and buy them.
Well, the reality is this is the end of the interview. Sophie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.